Welcome back to Voices from the Realm. It is a little after dawn on a beautiful Sunday morning. The rays of light slowly creep in through the windows, pushing the shadows along the corners of the Wandering Wyvern Tavern. A few patrons have made their way in for an early meal. You sit alone at the bar, taking in the sights, an aroma of eggs, bacon, sausage links, potatoes, fruits, and flapjacks. Then you hear a familiar sound of the tavern door creaking open behind you. As you turn around, you see, framed by sunlight, a large hulking figure of a man with a large shimmering staff. As they duck their head down to enter, the sounds of conversations begin to quiet down. For a moment, all eyes are on the stranger, and then the conversations begin to start up again. You see walking towards you a nearly 8-foot-tall Goliath with a fur cloak draped over his shoulders. He wears a green tunic under a pair of black overalls and black work boots. The Goliath has a black cowboy hat resting on his head, black tribal markings surrounding his eyes and stretching down the sides of his bearded face. You catch his ruby red eyes staring in your direction before he glances back at the doorway. You hear hooves clacking against the wooden tavern floors. The sound trailing behind the stranger is a tiny white goat wearing a bandana. The Goliath pets the goat on top of the head and proceeds towards the stool next to you at the bar. When he gets close, he says, "Good morning there, friendo. The name's Beau Braxton. This here's my familiar Gruff. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. Do you mind if I take the seat next to you?" Beau takes the seat next to you, orders himself some fruit, eggs, toast, and coffee. You see him pass some food over to Gruff, finish his plate, and order a second plate. Midway through his meal, he looks over at you, gives you a grin, and begins speaking. "I have to admit, I do love adventuring. Honestly, it's changed my life for the better. You see, before getting the chance to travel the world and meet new people, I was just a simple farmer. I worked on the Highland farm over in the region known as the Hillside. It was a gorgeous place to work. It was surrounded by mountains and forests. We had plenty of cattle and wild animals as well. Things were simple back then. If a neighbor needed help, you helped them without expecting anything in return. Our farmland thrived because of it. Now that I'm thinking of it, Gruff, you're the reason I began traveling as an adventurer, offering my assistance to people, farmers, and animals in need. I bet you'd like to hear that story, wouldn't you, friendo? Some years ago, we noticed that the goats on our farm were beginning to disappear. So Pa, Ma, a few other farm hands, and I decided to do a little stakeout. That's when we saw it. In the middle of the night, underneath the full moon, was a massive direwolf. It began to attack our goats, and that's when we attempted to circle it. But this wolf was too smart, I tell you. He began to rush and attack us instead, and before we realized it, the farm hands had all died. Ma and Pa were scared, so I decided to step on up with my big 2x4. What good that did me, because the wolf was too quick for me to hit. It ended up scratching at me and biting me, and I honestly thought it was gonna be the end of me. But something amazing happened. While I was hunched, barely standing, the full moon began to shine brighter. For some reason or another, I began to wild shape into a direwolf myself. I fought it with the ferocity of nature and somehow managed to overcome it. Once I shifted back to my natural form, I was able to see the damage done by the wolf. The farm hands and some of our best goats were slaughtered, all except for one kid. That's right, that kid was Gruff, the only goat to survive that night. I looked into Gruff's eyes and he looked back at mine, and that's when I knew that staying on the farm wasn't all my life was supposed to be. We found out a little later that the direwolf only found its way onto our farm was because poachers in the area were clearing out its territory. Had they not done what they did, then the direwolf wouldn't have come to our farm and kill our goats and our farmhands. All this could have been prevented. You see, everything's connected by nature, friendo. If we take care of nature, then nature will take care of us. I wholeheartedly believe this. It was around then that I decided to leave the farm in Ma and Pa's capable hands and go on teaching others about taking care of nature and offer a helping hand whenever it was needed. Oh, you want to know what happened to the poachers? Well, I'd say that's a story for another time. I've already taken up so much of yours already. You watch as Beau and Gruff remove themselves from the bar and head out the Wandering Wyvern Tavern, leaving only their story behind. Thank you for joining me for Voices from the Realm. Until next time, keep creating your own legend.